Still getting my head around the fact that it is less than a month to Christmas. In fact, by the weekend, it will be December. Now, it will also be summer, which is certainly a good thing, but much to do between now and the 25th. A church tradition which allows us to literally count down until the big day is Advent. Joining us on the program to discuss this tradition, its origins, and what it means for us today, Reuben Munn from Laidlaw College. Reuben, kia ora.
Kia ora, Andrew. Good to be with you.
Now, the Advent season, I don't know, this sounds a bit high church, doesn't it? I think it involves candles and probably some Greek or Hebrew words. It does have that sort of traditional church vibe to it, or am I missing the point here?
No, plenty of candles and Greek words. I think that's the makings of a good tradition right there. Yeah, it does feel a bit more high church, which is not our tradition either. Our church is a bit more low church, but it sort of spans right across the Christian spectrum, and some embrace the Advent tradition more than others. But really, it came out of the early centuries of the church as Christians developed an annual calendar to mark some of the significant events in the biblical story, particularly around the life of Jesus. And Advent's interesting because it's really the beginning of the Christian year, in a sense. Like, we think January the 1st, that's our beginning of the new year. But in fact, you look at the liturgical calendar. I've got a liturgical devotion I'm working through at the moment. It starts now.
Wow.
It starts in Advent. So it kind of reconfigures our whole sense of time. Like, the year begins with this moment of expectation leading up to Christmas, which is kind of cool, I think.
That's kind of
cool.
So
Advent, yeah, I was going to say Advent, the word just means arrival. Simple as that. Easiest way to think about it is that we are expecting, looking forward to this moment of celebrating the arrival of Jesus into the world. And Advent also points us towards the second arrival of Jesus that we're still looking forward to.
Yeah, I've heard that story, really, that it's more about the second coming than it is about Christmas. If we go to the tradition of Advent, it's more about that come long expected Jesus rather than baby in a stable and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, it's both, I think. It's tapping into all of those early messianic expectations, going right back to Isaiah and for unto us a child is born, all those hopes and longings of Israel. Like, I think of the little town of Bethlehem, the hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. So we're longing, we're getting into the experience of Israel. But then, as you say, we're recognizing that as Christians now we stand in a different place of the story to that. Jesus has come. He is here. We're not quite where Israel was. And so now we look back to the birth of Jesus, but we look forward. And you're right. I mean, it doesn't feel very Christmassy, but part of what Advent should be doing is giving us that sense of saying, come, Lord Jesus, come again, come and make all things new. And we look to the second arrival, the second Advent of Jesus, not as a baby, but as a king in glory to come and bring God's renewal to all things. So it kind of has this past and present and future dimension, Advent. It's this all-encompassing thing, much bigger than just Christmas Day itself.
I love the anticipation of Advent, really. It's kind of like a countdown or a build-up, however you like. From the 1st of December, we're getting more and more Christmassy as we approach the big day. It kind of, at least helps us prepare where we're at in terms of not just shopping lists and all of that commercial trappings, but from a spiritual point of view, helps us focus on what we're celebrating and carve out some space and some peace to remember and acknowledge all of that.
Yeah, it's really important, hey, because it's one of the busiest, if not the busiest time of the year for so many of us. So life in December feels so frenetic and so crazy, and yet this is exactly the moment when we need to be unhurried. We need to be able to free up some mental and emotional energy to really center ourselves on this incredible miracle that has happened of the incarnation. And so the Advent season allows us to do that. And as you say, we're tapping into there's a sense of expectation anyway as we move towards Christmas. We're opening our Advent calendars. You start to see the presents underneath the tree. Got all these things going on. And for families particularly, it's the kids are getting more and more excited. If you've got an Advent wreath, one more candle each week is lit. So there is this building sense of anticipation and excitement, and that's wonderful. And you can bring that together with this longing and anticipation that we have as Christians for the coming of Christ. Even though Jesus has come, we're carrying the sense of expectation for his presence to come afresh into our lives, for him to encounter us in fresh ways, and for us to bring ourselves to him in a new way, or perhaps with a sense of renewal in our lives. So yeah, we latch onto all that sense of expectation and we channel it in a way that's biblically grounded and centered towards the person of Jesus as we journey through those 4 Sundays leading up to Advent, leading up to Christmas.
So it all kicks off this Sunday. Of course, we've managed it well that Sunday happens to be the 1st of September, so we get an extra long Advent season. Do you have a personal family tradition? What does the Advent season look like in your household, Reuben?
Well, we have the Advent candles that we usually have on the dining room table. So for dinner time, we have the 4 candles. Sometimes, traditionally, there's a 5th as well in the center. We just do the 4, and they represent what is it? Can we remember? Faith, hope, love, peace.
Yep.
No, joy's in there somewhere as well, isn't it? And I think we mess up the order every year. So we're so low church. This is the problem, Andrew. We get all out of sequence. Anyway, all 4 are important, and each week we'll light another one. And so you see, and the kids take turns lighting the candles, try and do it safely without getting burned. Yeah. And we have that sense, and so we're talking about, well, where does love feature in the story? What sense of joy is there in the story? Who was joyful when Jesus was born? Where's the sense of peace? Who brings peace? The angels talk about peace on earth. So we're tapping back into the nativity stories in Matthew and Luke, but bringing out the themes of the Advent candle. So it's a simple one. Any family could do that, and it doesn't have to be a massively decorated wreath. Simple little thing, 4 candles. And you're just lighting one each week in the countdown to Christmas and remembering these 4 themes of the Christmas story. So that's our Advent tradition, as it is for many, many homes in the season.
And hey, for people listening in to this at the moment, if it's not something you've done before, perhaps something to consider for this year. You can throw away the Thomas the Tank Engine Advent calendars with the stale little chocolates behind it. Get yourself some candles from the Red Shed and focus on those 4 topics, those 4 candles as we head towards Christmas Day. Reuben, Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thank you for the contributions that you've made to this program. Thanks so much for joining us.
That's a pleasure, Andrew. Thanks for having me on this year.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.